Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where it's about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Animal Kingdom. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Well, the Codys are trying to figure out, this port situation. Obviously, they're all dealing with kind of their own issues, and a combination of issues. Like, you have Craig getting high, periodically throughout the episode because he's trying to dull the pain. Frankie's telling him to get his head together. Pope is telling him to get his head together, even to the point he's like, Ren did the right thing by leaving you with Nick, because the last thing is a kid should never have to see their father in the condition you're in. And so even Frankie later on is like, right, at least recognize that you're not doing this to have fun anymore, that this is just you coping. Because he was like, do you realize all that I'm going through right now? And she's like, I do. And in that moment, I'm like, the person she's referencing in Costa Rica, it has to be her son or something, her own, because she was like, the person in Costa Rica that I'm sending that money to, it's like, that person's not a random person. That's why, when she heard about, wait, you have a son, it hit a nerve, because she's got, I think that's even more reason why she's trying to get out, because she wants to finally be there for her child, and I think there's going to be some connection in that regard if Frankie kind of opens up about it. There's still a lot about Frankie. I mean, granted, her first introduction to her, how that story played out, obviously you didn't get to know the best sides of Frankie, because it's yeah, you kind of screwed us over, kind of screwed you over, but her trying to help, helping Craig get his head on straight is more self-preservation in her regard, because it's for one, it's she needs this job to go off flawlessly, because they even admit that port is federal territory. They could be doing some serious time if they get caught. Two, this is all the money she has left in this world was that 30 grand, and she's risking everything on it, so she needs this to happen fast and quickly, but it's also it needs to happen before that tracker gets found, because it will fall back on her. I'm sure she's also dealing with the time window of let's not forget, she never clarified whether or not she dealt with that whole person she owed money to. I don't think she did, so that's why she's ample about nah, I need to get money and then need to bounce. I think that's even more ample reason to trying to get out of this life and stuff like that, because it's not, you can't keep living this type of life forever. It will eventually catch up with you, and I think that's something probably the Codys are going to have to think about, and what potentially the future holds for them in that regard. But so there's that situation. There's even Darren having to deal with his bar situation. He's trying to make ends meet, where it's right, we're selling beer for free, but we're selling tacos for $1. It's just to kind of get some business going, because their business is suffering now that the bar association shut them down, because of Living Good and everything. Which, speaking of, you have some FBI agents rolling through the moment Living Good's body gets found and stuff like that. Finally, that they're asking questions, which, Darren handles it like a professional. It's yeah, Living Good, my experience. It's yeah, he was after my roommate. It's personally, yeah, he was trying to keep it, obviously trying not to give too much about, where him and Adrian sit, but he's yeah, my roommate owes me a lot of money. He, bailed, and stuff like that. So it's well, he's a DEA agent, so I'm assuming my roommate got caught up in drugs and stuff like that. He went to the bar and got my bar shut down, which is all 100% facts. So Darren is able to paint himself in it, he's able to paint the narrative to be yeah, this guy's so obsessed with going after my roommate that he's kind of dragging me through the mud and see what happened, because obviously everything will have Living Good's name on it, so that will kind of paint that narrative. But then it is going to be a thing about why would Living Good go through so much trouble for this guy. They had to going into the Cody situation, going to Darren knowing about the Codys, at least to some extent. There's nothing probably official on record, but there's probably enough to be we should be looking out, and there's a reason why Living Good had an eye on. So for now, they're just covering their bases. So for now, we'll see if that is enough to kind of tide things over. Other aspects of this is the whole Chadwick situation. It's all right, so how do we handle this? It's right, we're going to get the money first. And he's whoa, you rode up here without the money? I was like, man, this Chadwick, which is so interesting, because he most recently, spoilers, reprised his role, that actor reprised his role as Don on Titans for a little bit. I thought that was kind of neat. But regardless, he just seems a little unhinged. And the fact is, he's yeah, show up here tomorrow, in particular alley, with my money. you know? And it's so interesting because, like, Jay and Pope are talking, and Pope goes on this whole conversation about, like, basically, like, cats are so close to almost, like, they're only, like, slightly domesticated that it's, like, they're just, like, I think one generation from, like, being feral. Because he's like, yeah, you have a whole bunch of cats, like, they will basically, you throw them in an alley like this, they'll find a way to survive, and they'll, like, repopulate or something like that. It was an interesting metaphor, because it was almost like, I think he was more so referring to, like, the Codys in that regard of, like, right, you throw us in any environment, we might struggle, but we're going to survive, and we're going to thrive through it. I think, like, considering everything going on, we're going to pick ourselves up. You know, we've had to, like, we kind of got thrown in the gutter after everything went down, but we're going to thrive, and we're going to be better than ever type of thing. But they pay Chadwick, and he's like, whoa, what's this extra $4,000 for? They're like, oh, we're done. And he's like, yeah, big mistake. It's like, because he figures, like, right, this is why you put on such a big show, like, you're making, like, you didn't just get rid of Living Good's body, you made such a big spectacle of it, so that it becomes, like, such a, like, different, like, 3-letter organizations are getting involved, like, federal organizations are involved, that it's, like, he doesn't want to step in that hornet's nest because, like, he can still tie them technically with the gun, but it's like, right, we got rid of the bullet, we got rid of the, like, evidence, so, like, everything points, like, we cover our traces enough that, like, you trying to come after us is only going to screw you over. Now, the thing is, he might be a like, the fact is he's like, oh, you'll pay for this? I'm like, I don't trust that guy. He's going to come back to be a pain in the ass. I think, like, he's going to make some final appearance and do some stupid stuff that's, like, because Pope already, like, they even showed it in the preview, like, Pope already wants to kill him, but then, like, it's like, no, nothing good will come of killing a cop. It's like, this guy in particular might be something, he might be a necessary, like, thing to be removed because he might become a thorn in your side. Like, in some shape or form, he's gonna fuck them over next episode. I just get the feeling, like, you can't, like, he should, like, fact is, doing what he did already shows you he's not in the best mental state, which I think it's like, oh, that's kind of ironic saying, like, Pope being who he is, but I think Pope's kind of got his head back on his shoulders. I mean, Pope's always been a little, like, off his rocker a little bit, but I think now, like, after everything he went through with Cassandra and her son, like, I think he's in a better place now, so, which, you know, I brought it up earlier, but even Craig's in a better place, because, like, his buddy came over with jokes, he's like, no, I'm good, and turn it down, and he's looking through pictures of, because that's also the thing, too, because, like, anytime you saw, like, the whole parenting thing, like, I don't know if Craig really realizes it, but, like, you can't help but, like, it's a little glaring, because, like, we never really see you, like, full-blown parented up. You're always, like, out the house. It's either Ren, or you got someone else kind of babysitting, so it's like, it's like, you know, you never realize what you have until it's gone type of situation, but it's like, the fact is he hasn't been able to get in contact with Ren, and, like, she could just be simply, like, avoiding his calls, but I'm like, with all kind of, like, the reckless behavior, like, both of them have been displaying, like, her and him, then I'm like, I hope she hasn't gotten caught up in something. Which, speaking of getting caught up, Darren ended up explaining to the dude that works in his bar, because he was like, right, like, those FBI agents, they were here about Adrian. He's like, right, so what's going on? It's like, alright, Adrian got busted doing stuff for Jack, and the cops wanted him to roll on my family. Smurf found out, so I had to get him out of town. He can never come back. So, Adrian's alive. He's probably most likely hitting the waves, which he's like, that's better than any situation where someone crosses Smurf. Very nice timing. Well, not nice timing, but in the regard of, like, yeah, we just see what happened when the last person crossed Smurf most recently, and she's dealing with all of that, like, the aftermath of all of that in this episode. We'll get to soon enough, but the look on Home Dude's face made me go, like, is he going to rat on, like, is it that he believe Darren, or is it that he doesn't believe Darren, or, like, that, or is that going to be him ratting him out? Like, that's when I'm like, is he going to end up being like, oh, I've actually been an inside source for a while for the cops, and this might be the ammunition they need? Like, Darren didn't say anything incriminating enough. Like, if he said anything, it's just, like, incriminating about his mom, about, like, yeah, I want to roll on my family, and my mom's the type of person that doesn't take being betrayed well. Which we know time and time again, she proved that over and over again. But I'm curious, it's just like that look, the fact that the camera lingered on him, I'm like, there's something up with that. It's like, you got Chadwick and you got him, and I'm wondering, like, is there some connection there where Chadwick's going to use, I'm just, like I said, because nothing in that conversation was never, like, necessarily, like, indictment enough, because if it's anything, it's an indictment against Smurf, but she's not alive for that to be an issue, so we'll see. But yeah, like the main big thing is like the port situation's not ideal. It's like can't hit it during the day. Night situation's kind of complicated too. They're trying to plan things out because once again, it's like this is a big job. And there was even a conversation of like, Jay is like, do you think Smurf would take the job? And even Darren's like, I'm not sure, But for Jay, it's like, we need a win. Like, we're struggling. Like, none of, like, our other previous ventures have panned out. This is the one that needs to pan it out, especially if it has the potential big payday that we think it does, which will at least be, like, $750,000, There's also the conversations Jay had about, like, finding businesses. Like, taking what, Smurf did when it came to laundering money and like taking it in a new direction he hasn't been, making like legitimate businesses like the bowling alley and stuff like that, give everyone their own businesses and stuff like that, which is like, it's like, does Pope even care about running his own business? And then like, I think Darren joked about like, yeah, as long as he doesn't have to like deal with like society or like people as a whole, like it's fine. But he's setting all that up, trying to figure it all out while also doing research on, was it Wyatt Cole? And it's like, they need this win, but they also need to be prepared because this is the job that could go super sideways. I mean, this is like the first big job without Smurf, too. So that has to be considered as well. So what I thought was interesting is when Pope rode up on Home Dude to get a car. And I love that he was like, yeah, pass a message on to Pete. He got something to say with me. He knows where to find me. You ever got issue with me or my family? Like, come find me, No, he knows where I am. And then gets the car from Home Dude. He's like, dude's like, yeah, but I got stuff in the back. And I'm like, the moment it's like, it's Coke, I was like, no, it's not. And it ended up being, I was like, that bastard Pete, you lying ass bastard, you didn't flush it. Because of course it makes sense he wouldn't, because like Jay was even like, wait, why would you flush? He's like, no, too much heat. It's like, that's too much money. That's a lot of money to just be literally flushing down the drain, so it makes sense. But I thought like, oh, the DA sniffing around, but it's like, yeah, one DEA agent that's not even looking after you, that's looking for like Darren. But I think he's kind of like, it was meant to be his. Because I guess that's also why he's like trying to cut ties with the Codys. Like it's just too much back and forth and it's too much of a wild card. But also like, hey, I get to cut you out of it and take full advantage of that. And it's like, yeah. Because even to the point later on, there was an interesting conversation I thought between Pope and Jay, where he was like, yo, clean your guns because like the salt in the, like because they live near the water. It's like the salt in the air is probably going to like rust up and jam up your gun, so you need to clean it all the time. He's like, yeah, I don't. He's like, I'm not used to it because like his mom never had guns in the house, which considering like everything that's going on right now, it makes perfect sense. Like Julia did everything to get away from that family and that lifestyle. I mean, Smurf like did that to like literally every one of her siblings, even like Baz, considering their relationship and everything. I'm sure like it would not sit well with her knowing like her son got mixed up in this because she did everything and it, because I think at the end of the day, and it's a conversation I keep having over and over again, where like Smurf like latched onto Pope so much harder than she did Julia, because I think she looks at, oh my baby boy Andrew, he's so strong. Julia, get your shit together, you're weak. Like that's what it, because I think when she looks at Julia, she sees her own weaknesses, and when she sees what Pope is capable of being, she sees her strength. Because yes, like after it, like she all had her own issues, but definitely after Colin, she was broken a little bit. And Pope came out a little broken, but she never bothered fixing it, because I think for her, it's like she saw Pope kind of messed up, and it's like, right, we're kindred spirits. Whereas Julia's messed up in her own right, but it's like she could never connect, and I think that's why she kind of distanced herself. Because like even despite everything, it's like, oh, I'm more concerned, like, oh, Pope, he burned his hand with the lighter, he won't do it again. And then she's like, he will, like, you shouldn't be giving him a lighter. It's like, don't worry, I'll look after your brother. And she's just staring at Julia, but it's like, even she's kind of like, you got to recognize the signs of just, I was like, but it's like, at the same time, it's like, Smurf sees what she wants to see, like, she's caught up in living things up, and just like, by the time, like, I think it's just like things went so far in life that it's like we've gone too far for me to try and make up for what I've done. Maybe on some level taking Jay in was kind of trying to make things up for Julia, but also kind of getting her own way. Like she, Smurf wants what she wants, and she always usually got what she wants. So I don't know. it's a complicated thing, but like I said, I just thought that was such an interesting thing of just like Jay being like, yeah, my mom never had any guns, and now we kind of see the trauma associated with it, and just like even more reason why she pulled away from this lifestyle and family. But then Pope was like, yeah, I'm gonna go take care of that. Oh, by the way, Pete, yeah, he didn't flush the coke, he kept it, which I'm sure Jay's like, that motherfucker. That lying sack of shit, like, you know, it's like, because he's like, you set me up to do all this, you made me worry, and you just like flush it, and you were going to keep all the money to yourself, you bastard. So there's that. But two, I think it's interesting that Pope decided to tell not everyone, but he made sure only to tell Jay, because I think for him, he's like, Jay, like, you've been rocking it lately, bro, like, handling Chadwick, even like disposing of Livinga. He's like, yeah, we just got lucky. He's like, no, you're smart, like Baz, like you create your own luck, like there's more to it than that. So I think all that made him go like, right, this whole coke thing was your baby, so I'm gonna let you know. He lied. I got the coke bat, but it's like, yeah, he lied. He didn't flush it. So I think he's gonna go with like, all right, you decide what you're gonna do about that, Jay. So I kept looking at that look in Pope's eyes. I'm like, I think he's gonna go off and pop Chadwick the moment he gets a chance. It's like, no, he's gonna go with Jay's plan and let it be. But I'm like, I think Pope is going, when he gets the opportunity, he's going to kill Chadwick. I think he is. Just he has to pull the trigger on him, because like that bastard's going to call him back and cause some damn issues. I just know it. I just don't know how he's going to strike. But it's just like, he's just like, oh, you guys are going to cut me out? It's like, you're getting paid, but it's like you've done a little legwork for them. They've paid you. You got rid of one of their issues from them. Like, yeah, it's not like they are like completely screwed you over. It's like, it's so interesting why he wants to be so much a part of this. Like, what's so messed up in him that he's so like wants to be a part of this to the point that he's like willing to try and make an enemy of the Codys that go this far. Well, I guess in his mind it's like, oh, they made an enemy of me. Like, all they had to do was keep paying me up my like pay just because of all, you know, the hazard pay of just kind of like getting mixed up with them and stuff. But it's like, he like sought this out, and now he's just, I don't know, he presented himself pretty normal, but ever since he killed Livingan, it's like, woo, he's really revealed his true colors, you know. So we'll see how that plays out. So there's all of that. And then on top of that, you know, in the past, we have the aftermath, you know, and just like Julia like throwing rocks at the house, and you have like Andrew like messing with the like lighter and burning himself, and Julia's like, I told you so. It's like, do you think mom's like, why, like even Julia being like asking the question like, do you think mom's like messed, like she was like, do you think mom's sick or messed up or something? And Pope was like, what? And she's like, never mind, because she knows she can't have that conversation with Andrew because it'd probably get back to her mom. But also it's like, right, you're gonna be so defensive about mom, so I can't say anything to you anyway. But even like, you know, Jake was like, cool, like, it's all taken care of and everything. And then immediately, what's the words out of Smurf's mouth? Oh man, so like, let's go over to Max's place and like kind of rob it. And Jake is like, let's take a beat. It's like, you know, you need to make sure the kids are okay. He's like, they're okay. And he's like, come on, like, just take a beat. Let's wait for things to kind of calm down. She's like, you want to punk out? You can. They roll up to his place, and she's like, hey, kids, come in, take whatever you want. You know, Pope ends up finding a lighter, and Julia is just kind of, like, not vibing. And we do see her staring at the tattoos, which I wasn't paying as much attention to it, but the fact is they focus on it, I'm like, oh, it must be, like, a significant tattoo that she has. And it's like, right, that's what the markings of that, you know, are. And so it's like, yeah, can we go? And she's not having it, but, like, she just legitimately is like, seeing her mom that way, it's going to change her. Like, she's slowly been seeing, like, a different side of her mom regardless. Like, you could tell she was, like, having fun before to some degree. Like, yeah, there was some bumps here and there, but, like, she was having fun. Now it just seemed like that side of her is, like, I think this is, like, you know, where, like, last episode was, like, oh, Pope became Pope. Andrew became Pope, but now it's like this is the tipping point that really set Julia sadly down her path. And it's just kind of, you know, it's just sad to look at it now, because it's like, right, you see them as a little, I mean, because I think that's anytime you see someone that's kind of addicted to drugs, I mean, it's like when you look at like where, I mean, just who Pope become, it's like when you look at him and Julia where they're at as little kids, knowing what their futures hold for them and what like their mom kind of like both directly and indirectly led them down their respective paths. You know, it's really sad. Especially when she rolls up and threatens Baz's mom, because it's like, right, like, you could have got me and my kids killed. Like, it's a crazy thing to say, but it's also like, you kind of put yourself in that situation. like, I get, like, your issues with Max, but it's like, you try to cut corners and stuff like that. Yes, Max a D-bag for threatening your kids in the first place. He crossed the line, so you have every right to kill him, but it's like, you're the one that set that in motion, and it's like, not everyone's going to be like, yeah, I'm willing to threaten what I have so that you can, like, get a leg up for what you have. You know, it's like, yeah, it's about, you know, protecting your kids and everything, but still. It's like, that kind of fell on you. You're the one that concocted the plan and dragged other people into your plan to kill, Max. But it's like, yeah, I think all she said was like, Max is dead, and then like Baz's mom was like, how did he die? It's like, does it even matter? It's like, now she knows, like, probably like, oh, you didn't want to kill him. So, because they ended up going through his safe and ended up finding his book of all the people, like, he's, you know, his connections. And so obviously, once again, the beginnings of that network, because I had brought that up previously. I was wondering, like, how, like, the acquirement of Max's connections, like, what that meant in the framework of Smurf's empire. What was the infrastructure like? Did she apply, like, what he had done in her own way, or did she literally pick it up? And it seems like, from what we've seen so far, she's, like, planning to pick it up, where it's like, right, people, like, didn't work for Max. Like, he basically, like, they kind of had to give him kickback. Us, we're going to work things differently. Like, if you line up a job for us, you're going to get your own cut. You play your own role in it. Like, everyone gets paid. If you participate in it, you play your role in things, you will get paid. So it's not going to be a thing of like, you're doing this, like, you automatically got to pay me money. It's like, no, like, if you bring us jobs and everything, you're going to get a slice of the pie type of thing. So, but then, like, Manny and Jake are kind of like, let's not do that. And she's like, what do you, like, you know, and the fact is, he's like, go home to your kids. She's like, they're fine. He's like, no, they're not. You murdered someone in front of your kids. He's like, I wish Colin was here, because maybe he'd be the one person that could talk some sense into you, because, yeah, and yeah, like, because Pope kind of gets his issues a little bit from Colin. I mean, like, Julia, because I think Pope takes after both, takes part after, like, there is Janine there, but there's also, like, a little bit of Pope. I mean, a little bit of Colin. But I think with, like, Julia, I feel like, I guess maybe you could make the argument, maybe those roles have been reversed. Like, maybe Julia is now taking place after Colin a little bit more, because she tries to, like, be that calm to, like, Janine's storm. Like, they kind of, like, complemented each other well, and I think Julia tried to play that role for Pope a little bit, but their mom has kind of skewered that, like, dynamic, because, like, both of them have now kind of, like I said, like, started tiptoeing down the paths that we know await for them in their futures. So, but Janine's all, like I said, just all about doing her own thing, and it's just like she's so blinded by, like, what's in front of her, because she's such a party animal, you know. So I don't know, man. I'm just curious, like, her younger self, like, how long along that road before she really starts realizing, like, the underlying issues that are present that she's kind of been ignoring for a while. And I think she will go on to continue to ignore, because, like, she keeps, like, the way she's acting now in the past is just how she treats Pope early. Like, so it's like nothing was learned, you know? So it's just like that. It just kept going on and on and on and on. But I don't know. It's just a lot of stuff to keep in mind going into the next episode. It is the season finale, so anything could happen. Once again, not a hint of a preview, so I don't even know. Like, I'm not even slightly sure what to expect, and I prefer it that way. But I'm so fascinated to see what the season finale has in store for us. But really, that's all I'm going to talk about. So the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.